Good morning, everyone. Are you still struggling for success in 2018? Well, Sister Mary Loretta says to be successful, the first thing to do is fall in love with your work. Are you in love with the work that you do? I have always learned that it isn't work if you're in love with it. And that's what I believe. I do believe a friend of mine in a conversation many, many years ago once said to me, work is play. Work is play if you love what you do. And as Sister Mary Loretta tells us, the first thing you need to do is fall in love with your work. And that's how we're going to start March's video book review series. Time for books at lipsticking.com with Yvonne DiVita. This month, the most amazing book we're going to talk about, and there are 5 Fridays in the month, so we have 5 times to talk about this book. And here it is, Design the Life You Love. Ooh. So, let me read something that falls in line with what Sister Mary Loretta was telling us. And this is a step-by-step guide to building a meaningful future by Ayse Birsel. And I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name right. I'm going to try and contact her to make sure I'm doing that correctly. But she says in the very beginning, dear reader, you are courageous. If you are reading this book, it means that you want to be the designer of your own life. That you are interested in thinking about your life proactively, and that you have things to explore and changes you want to make creatively. I really loved this book. I wasn't sure that I was going to love this book, and I'll be honest, I still have a little bit to do. This is my lipsticking book. I'll do it. I'll get it. My lipsticking bookmark. But we're going to talk a little bit more about it all month, and I will finish it by then. Still, because it's March and because this is Idea Month, for those who didn't know, I think it's a great idea for us to talk about designing the life that we love. And it doesn't mean you have to be a designer in the sense of being great with images and fonts and all that. And you'll see I try desperately to make really good pictures for my blog posts and things like that, but I am not by any means a designer. However, I do believe you can design your own life. I do believe you have to. I do believe it's a choice. You have to be out there deciding what you want to happen to you, how you want this life to go, and what business you want to be creating or be involved in. And so a big part of that is something in the very beginning of the book from Ralph Kaplan, who was a mentor of the author, and he told her, dear Ayse, when it comes to life, there is no such thing as design. There is only redesign. I know you agree with me. I know you understand what that means. We're talking about your second act, and your second act is a redesign of your life, not a redesign of your first act. So let's say in my first act, I was a veterinary technologist. I love animals. Everyone knows I love animals. That's why I started blogpost.com with Tom and Caroline and my daughter Chloe. And blogpost.com is an online pet blogging community that is owned by PetSmart now. But the whole goal was to bring pet bloggers together. I love animals. So being a technologist in a veterinary practice was part of my heart's desire. But the reality is I really wanted to be a writer. Now, of course, blogging is writing. So that did help when I did blog pods. And so I am not redesigning that. I am not going back to school to become a better technologist in 2018, better than I was. Oh, please, I'm not even going to tell you, but it was a long time ago. What I'm doing is redesigning my life, redesigning my focus on the things that really give me passion, that I love, and going back to talking to women like you who want to do the same thing but are a little lost. Who want to redesign and reinvent themselves and make a life that is fulfilling according to the passions or the talents or the creativity or the desires that you have, as opposed to what life, society, and other people have told you you should do. So I agree with him, it's a redesign, but let's be frank, it's a redesign of what you want, not a redesign of something you used to do. So we're not taking the color red and making it purple. A little bit of that maybe, but it's a new beginning. I say it's a rebirth with memory. That's what I say, a rebirth with memory. This is a workbook. So in this book, you will be required to actually do things. They have, let me find a few pages here where she has blank pages for you to work on. And I did not do that. I made my own pages. But she wants you to do the work. And I want to read something else that often, she says, often what we want and what we need oppose each other. You want to go on vacation, but you need to make money. Creativity is making the two coexist, like figuring out how to make money while on vacation. Whoops. I gotta write sometime. I really love that. And I love that in the very beginning, she tells us to think like a designer. It's foreign to me. So again, she's not telling you have to be a designer. You need to kind of think like one, and that's absolutely true, because thinking like a designer allows you to bring out the creativity and the talents that you have inside. She says, think like a designer, be optimistic, empathetic, say what if, collaborative, holistic. Those are really, really important things that happen in this book. And she talks about her experiences, and that's really valuable for those of us who are a little challenged in the whole design area. She's a designer. And so what does she do? She designs furniture. She has designed storage systems. She designed a toilet and an office system. And I'm sure she has designed other things. She's designed a lot. And she took her experiences with that into a new realm, into where we, the average person who is not a designer, can begin to understand how to redesign our lives using the process she uses to design products. And she says design is turning a constraint into an opportunity. So turning a constraint into an opportunity can help us think outside the box. No pun intended. She did something outside of a box. You have to read it to find out. Think now of a constraint you have in your own life. Can you see it as an advantage? This shift in our point of view will be at the center of our creative process. So what is a constraint that you have in your life that is holding you back? Is it you don't have an office space? Can you then look at that as an advantage because you can be more creative? You're not hemmed in by 4 walls and a desk. Is it something that has to do with you have a job, you have a 9-to-5 thing that you go to and you don't hate it, it's okay. It brings in the money, it pays the bills, but it keeps you from doing what you want to do because it's time consuming, because it makes you tired, it wears you out. That's a constraint. How are you going to turn that around? I know that many authors turn it around by writing early in the morning or writing during lunch. Today, you have more opportunity to be creative and build something in your off time than ever before. And that does mean that you have to make a choice. You have to give some things up. And that's not necessarily part of the book at this point, but it's a truth. You have to make choices. In fact, let me read you something from her blog. I went this morning to her blog, and I was just amazed at the wonderful information on the blog and the way she continues to support the idea of designing your life that you love by offering information online and writing in her blog. So in her blog, How to Be Successful According to David Sedaris. Now, many of you know I prefer to quote women. I prefer to talk about women. I prefer Harriet Beecher Stowe, who says that women are the real architects of society. However, we are also here to work with the men in our lives. And she says one of the most important lessons I learned about success comes from the best-selling author and humorist David Sedaris. If you want to be successful, you need to give up something. So he wrote in a personal essay for The New Yorker about a road trip he took with his boyfriend, Hugh, in Australia. While there, they met up with a friend, Pat, who had retired after a successful career. She explains to them that life is like a stovetop with 4 burners. The burners represent work, family, friends, and health. If you want to be successful, you need to turn off one of the burners. If you want to be really, really successful, you need to turn off 2 of the burners. You cannot have everything all at the same time. Are you going to turn off family, friends, health, work? Where in that concept, which is a constraint, is the answer to the success that you're looking for? This is Yvonne DiVita, and we have started March's Time for Books with Design the Life You Love by Ayse Birsel. It's a workbook. We're going to talk more about it. I'm going to share more of my thoughts about how I went through the process and what I discovered. And I hope that maybe you go get the book and do it with me. See you next week.